Welcome to Still Evolving, where we explore the truth behind lasting performance and resilience. Rather than relying on perfection or superhuman ability, our conversation will highlight how real strength emerges through simple, intentional habits grounded in self-compassion, adaptability, and the ability to grow through life's inevitable setbacks. Today, we're thrilled to welcome Dr. Georgia Mitsi, a globally recognized telehealth expert based in Boston, Massachusetts. Georgia is transforming the way we think about healthcare, blending science, business, and technology to create innovative, patient-centered solutions. With a PhD in Pharmaco-epidemiology and an MBA in international business and a master's in medical sciences, Georgia has led initiatives across oncology, neurology, psychiatry, and cardiometabolic health. She's held leadership roles at top companies like Biogen and Sanovian, where she built strategies around virtual reality and mental health solutions, drove digital healthcare innovation, and forged strategic partnerships with emerging startups. As the former CEO of Sentinel 4D, Georgia raised significant seed funding and guided the company's growth in precision oncology. Today, she continues to push boundaries as the CEO of Biofeedback VRX, leading efforts to integrate cutting-edge VR technology into healthcare and enhance patient outcomes. Beyond her executive achievements, Georgia is also an accomplished author and speaker. She's written 4 books, including her recent poetry collection, On My Way to Love at Winthrop Square, available now on Amazon. Georgia's passion for innovation and her vision for a future of digital health make her a true trailblazer. And we can't wait to dive into her journey and insights today. Welcome, Dr. Georgia Mitsi. Hi, welcome, Georgia. So grateful for you to join me today and having this conversation. I really look forward to learning more about your still evolving journey and learning from you. If you could share with our audience a bit about your journey, motivations along the way, where you've come from and what you're working on now.
Sounds good. So, Amy, thank you so much for the invite. I love the concept that you're working on, and I think that we are all work in progress. So evolving, it feels like the most natural thing in life. My personal and professional journey, I think it is being described as a constant evolution and reinvention, maybe because of the way that my DNA works. I don't know, and my personal and professional motivation. So I'm an immigrant in this country. So I'm originally from Greece. I moved to US 22 years ago. In many ways, I say that now I'm Greek American, but sometimes I have hard time when I go to Greece to feel Greek and when I am in US to feel an American. So I'm stuck somewhere in the middle. And from early on in my life, I never felt that I was in the right place. So I was looking for ways to carve my own path. And coincidentally, I found myself in US. I always wanted to come here, but there was not such an easy way from me coming from a small town in Greece to find an easy way to be in US. But life plays, interesting games in us. And I landed in Miami 22 years ago. I didn't have a working permit back then, so I didn't even know how complicated it is to find a job without a permit. So I learned that lesson. But I took the opportunity to do my MBA since I didn't have a working permit, and I was able to work through my student visa. And since then, since my graduation, I tried lots of different things, always in the healthcare space because I'm a scientist, but I was always more interested in the business side of the science and how actually bring effective therapies or nice devices to people's lives. I was more interested in seeing the effect that therapies or devices could have on people's lives. And I tried lots of different things. Some of these things, they just landed in my lap. I didn't go for it. But I always had a sweet spot for innovation. And maybe this is why my mind is more geared to a continuous evolving kind of pattern, because innovation was trying new things and not necessarily accepting the status quo for what it is. Very early on in my career, after trying the traditional path, I started my own company. And then I went to pharma, and I was focusing on the innovation side, which is challenging status quo of how things are being done. It wasn't an easy path, but I don't regret it a moment because this is what motivation to my mind, and it gave me also exposure to learning from other entrepreneurs and learning from their passion and their mental health stamina and perseverance. And I kept going and going and changing. So I tried the startup world, I tried the big pharma world, I went back to the startup world, here where I am today. So I'm a CEO of a company, of a young startup company that is called Biofeedback VRX, after completing a 15-month-long journey in another startup where I raised money and I took the company off the ground and I did licensing agreements. So all I see every part of my path as something that I learn, and I put things under my belt, and I continue this journey. And I don't know where this journey will take me, but this is part of evolving. I don't think that we need to actually have everything figured out in our life. There is beauty in mystery and just allowing life to happen for us sometimes.
Yes. Georgia, thank you so much. Just hearing your journey over to this country and certainly professionally going between large enterprise, big pharma, and startup, quite varying experiences. And I appreciate your point. As much as perhaps in our angst, we like to know the answers and know exactly the next step, how much of the fulfillment and magic can happen as things evolve. And sometimes, like you said, it falls in your lap. Sometimes perhaps it was a turn that perhaps you couldn't see in the moment that was just around the corner. We just didn't quite have that perspective yet. So I guess what comes to my mind is you see a lot, especially on social media now, like the graphics about people's professional journeys and how quote unquote success is not this straight linear upward trajectory. It's filled with these ups and downs. And, I sometimes when we think of the downs, it's like this negative connotations. Maybe it's just different turns that we take along the way. When it felt more like challenge or adversity struck you, that turn in your life, personally, professionally, was hard. However, you choose to define that for yourself. What helped? What helped you bounce through that and continue to grow and to continue with this very optimistic and kind of like the fever to learn kind of mentality? What helped you keep going?
Actually, this is a great question, Amy. And a lot of times when I have been dealt with situations of adversity, and I was trying to find ways to keep afloat. There is not a lot of people out there who are actually very honest. And what I mean by that, because honesty is and not everybody is willing to give it to you. So what kept me afloat, it was two things. It was primarily my personal gift of perseverance, sometimes simply because I didn't have any other choice. And through my readings, this is what, sometimes when you're in the middle of a problem, you're losing your clarity. And when you read some books, it helps you either understand yourself and your thoughts a little bit better and learn some small nuggets of wisdom. So that was one thing. And the second thing is friends and mentors. And I was fortunate enough to have met throughout my journey lots of very successful people that they are and were willing to help, even from making the time to just have a discussion with me to also making introductions. But most importantly, it was the discussions. And each one of them, and I'm talking about some very, very successful individuals, each one of them told me, every successful person's journey is not a linear line. There's lots of downs and nobody talks openly about it. And as a society, unfortunately, we glorify the successes, which is normal. Okay, to celebrate successes, but it's also equally important to understand that the most essential skill in life is how quickly you get up when you're down. Because the success, when it happens, is that you're the peak, you're celebrating the success. Nobody talks about all the hard work and all the sleepless nights and all the tears and all the sweat and everything that went wrong, and you had to find a solution to really find yourself in that peak. And for me, that's the success, actually. The success is how quickly you can get yourself out of that deep, dark hole when adversity happens to say, this happened. I cannot let myself just cry over spilled milk. Okay, it's done. Let's focus future. And there are all these very nice sayings like you never should focus on the mirror at the end. You should keep your eyes forward. What happened belongs to the past. And failure, first of all, I don't like the word failure in general. There's no failures, there's only lessons learned. You learn from your experiences, and then these experiences, good or bad, they make you who you are. So you should be proud of everything that happened in your life as long as you do not give up the effort. That's what matters at the end of the day. That's what kept me going. I know, like
Yeah.
the books.
I love it. We talk so much about the power of connection here at A Performance because really we have the science that very clearly shows that our connection, our connective relationships, it really is the antidote to that human stress response more than anything. I mean, I think we saw very clearly the impact of the social distancing lockdowns in COVID and how that really limited our ability to cope with the stress that came with this global threat. And then also your appeal of like learning and reading, certainly that can be so powerful. What starts before that is an openness to it. Like you had to take action in, hey, I'm going to look at something different. I'm going to read something different. I'm going to ask myself something different. And a shift in that perspective can be so powerful. Well, you mentioned success being that journey, right? It's not necessarily the moment on the podium, although certainly that is a wonderful high.
Yeah.
I haven't necessarily always had that, but certainly I've been part of worlds where many elite performers have had those pinnacle, just highly visible, highly celebratory moments, like many others celebrated the smaller wins in life. Do you have a sense when you say what success is getting back up and finding a way to continue? What has helped you recover? Because this is a grind. This isn't just a sprint to the end of the year, even though oftentimes in private industry, we put these benchmarks on things and enforced by perhaps regulatory calendars to have that. But this is a long marathon, more than a marathon. For many of us in our professional lives, what helps you recover so you can keep finding a way, you can get back in that game? What fuels you?
I think that you just mentioned it. It's the small wins in life that and have nothing to do. Sometimes, first of all, it took me a long time to understand that it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It took me, that was one of the hardest lessons learned because, and I was very, very driven. And I found myself that I was dealing with life like a sprint to the sometimes I think that I was very, very close to burnout because I didn't realize this is a marathon. I was always treating my life like based on, let's put it on a slide, and you have all these milestones that you want to succeed. And I was more like that. It took me years to get out of that mindset because it wasn't good for me mentally. But what actually fills you and helps you get out of these moments of adversity faster is when you detach yourself from what success is like and the outcome, and you really pay attention to what matters. And what matters the most is how fulfilled we are in our personal lives, because I want to associate myself with who I am as my professional persona, because this is just a path that I took in the professional world. I could have taken any other path, and my storyline life would be so different. But who I am as a person, it should never be associated with what I'm doing for work. So one of the biggest motivations in my life always has been my children. I want to teach them by example specific life skills, essential life skills, like the way that I am dealing with adversity. It gives them a very clear example that, first of all, adversity happens. So be prepared for in your life things. It's not going to be a rosy carpet. And how quickly you get out of that and how you ground yourself with small things. Like when you wake up in the morning, it's a beautiful gift. You're still alive. There are so many people that they are wishing today, right now that we're talking, that they had one more day in this world. Small things like right now, it's cold out there, but it's a beautiful fall day and there is like beautiful leaves out there. Just take a moment in your everyday life to just absorb a little bit of that beauty that is being offered to us for free. So the most important things in life actually are free, and like having a good friend that you can connect and have a deep laugh, or being able to prepare a nice food, or even, try to prepare a good cake and it doesn't turn out so well because I'm not a good baker, but I still, I mean, small things like that is what grounds you and help you sometimes get yourself from all that funk about chasing the big high again and again and again. Because for some people, that big high might never come in their life. That doesn't mean that they're not worthy. There are people that they're doing type of jobs that they will never have the ability to feel that big high. Okay. And so what? They may be the best friends or the best parents or the best, back to their community. That's what actually brings the real fulfillment. The other highs can be a little bit deceiving sometimes. And at the end of the day, when you have put all that hard work and the big high happens, it lasts a night, you celebrate, you open a champagne, and then you wake up the next morning and you're chasing the next
You're
big.
back again. So true. I'm reminded, I've talked a lot about Scotty Scheffler as a renowned golfer, a champion golfer. And there was an interview he gave that went viral. And so much of what you're sharing is a reminder. And he also shared on that. What I do for this profession, and it is amazing. It's highly celebrated. You have millions of people watching. And when you win a championship, there is that high. But he shared to so many that like within 10 minutes, like I'm like just wanting to go home and have dinner with my wife and hold my child. And what really grounded, and I think what was so meaningful in him sharing is just like who I am is not what I do. I'm so much more than a golfer. And I think it went viral because I think there's so many of us who can relate to that. Absolutely. I'm very proud of my professional journey, just as you. And yet, like, what really matters deep down is how you, like, leaving that legacy for my daughters, right? And how I can kind of pass on or make an imprint so that their lives, maybe they're more prepared to deal with life's punches, or perhaps maybe I made an influence in a system or climate that is healthier. But regardless, that's what truly matters. And our identities are made up of so much more than just what we do. Yeah. And so thank you for reiterating. I think so many of us need to be reminded of that.
Actually, you know what I think? If this interview actually reaches just a couple of people and what we're sharing right now finds them at the time where they're dealing with a problem and it could actually help them, that would make me so, so happy, so much happier than the other big win that I had in my career.
Thank you. I have no doubt we'll keep sharing the conversation. Before we do hit that share button, I really like being able to leave our audience one piece of actionable advice, an immediate or actionable strategy, tool. Can we leave the audience one piece of actionable advice or something in your daily routine that has helped you in your evolution and as you continue to look forward and the magic of that journey?
Yes, I do have an actionable advice. It's not a big secret, and I will tell you that I have tried some techniques that they haven't worked for me. So everybody talks about gratitude. So I have tried, before I go to bed, to just think about all the small things that I'm grateful for. I haven't found that worked for me so well.
Mhm.
Just to be honest, because
Yeah,
everybody's
yeah.
on the gratitude.
Everybody's different.
It
Yes.
doesn't work because I constantly find myself just reminding myself about the small things that I should be super grateful. So what has worked for me is exercise. Whenever I find myself in a place where I'm struggling, physical movement helps, and I like to dance. It moves my body, but any kind of exercise, I believe it helps, it grounds you. And then again, I will go back to my books. I love books. I love to read. So currently I'm reading a book that is called Don't Sweat the Little Stuff. It's just small paragraphs. So it's an easy read. So even if you do not have lots of time to read, just like you can find 5 minutes. And in 5 minutes, you can read like 3 or 4 pages. And it's just such a nice thing. It's just like, because all of us, we find ourselves, unfortunately, sweating the little stuff. And one of the most important things that it took me many, many years to reach the point of actually making it part of my everyday reality is that please bear with me because I guess it comes with age to reach that. When I was younger, I had that very strong urge to be right and to show to people why I had to be right because I had the evidence, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes in life, it's better to be kind and not right. It helps so much better. It alleviates unnecessary conflicts. And at the end of the day, you know it in your heart if you're right or not. But even when you're dealing with a very complicated situation, making kindness your priority, it brings either the worst enemy closer to you, then you want them closer to you if you're interested in solving the problem. Otherwise, you're creating walls, then it's very difficult to bring the walls down solely on evidence.
Yes. Georgia, thank you. I hope everyone will get up and just go for a walk, at least just to the other room if you're working remotely and coming back, or even picking up that book for a few moments with that perspective. Appreciate the word also on kindness. I don't think we can be reminded of that enough. So pleasure having this conversation and learning and sharing with you. And until next time, be well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure talking with you today, Amy. Thank you.